you so much for having me here. And
recording, and then I'm going to put you on speaker view because that was something I learned during
oh,
our thing. So go ahead, my love.
well, I really appreciate you having me here and letting me be part of this incredible symposium that you have created. And it just means the world to me to be able to share a message that I think is really important for people, especially women, but also it's very pertinent to men as well. And that is the impact of menopause relating to relationships, relating to people's health, and alternative ways that people can actually help to heal their bodies, keep themselves healthy naturally, because nutrition health has been such a vital part of my life for well over 30 years. So, firstly, my name is Roz, and I'm from Body Balancing, and I am a menopause expert. Excuse me. And my journey started, so just to give you a little overview, I was 4 years old. My dad passed away. My mom went into a pretty severe depression, although at 4 years old I had no idea. It just felt like I was abandoned. And I grew up and I had this experience of feeling abandoned. And if it hadn't been for my grandmother being part of my life, as well as my brother who was 10 years older than me, I'm not really sure how things would have unfolded. But through the years, my mother was never an affectionate person. She was never one of those people that I felt was loving, even though I knew she loved me. But she never was a huggy, embracing type of person. I felt like there wasn't that warmth, that connection. And I grew up, obviously not consciously aware of it, but in retrospect and learning what I'm going to share some things with you about, that that I grew up very shy, very introverted, and very scared to actually talk to people. And it's kind of strange because I learned that when I was like 2 years old, I would go up to total strangers in a store and say, "Hi, I'm Roz, what's your name?" And that's the natural way for children to be. And unfortunately, what happens to us is as we get older, as we go through these different emotional things, they have a huge impact on our lives, and we don't necessarily connect that as we get older and we are relating to people in our 20s, 30s, 40s, that we are actually still relating from this injured child, this little person who didn't have a way of communicating what was really going on in their heart. And then for me, when I was in my teens, we had a swimming pool at home. I was wearing a bikini. My brother walked past my bedroom and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, hippie." My initial thought was like, okay, we're beyond the 60s. I'm not really like dolled up as a hippie, like I haven't got flowers in my hair or anything. What's he talking about? And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I had this body awareness. And I realized I had a bit of a belly, I had some weight on my hips, I had thighs, and I was like, oh, that's what he's talking about, like physical hippie. And that threw me into a space of, oh, well, I've got to do something really drastic to change this. And I ended up becoming bulimic. And what happened because of the bulimia from not having the nutrition that my body needed, I ended up going into depression. I ended up withdrawing even more. And my mom ended up taking me to a psychiatrist who basically prescribed medication for me. And I was in such a space of deep depression that I basically thought, what's it all about? Why even bother? Why carry on? And one night I threw the whole bottle down my throat and swallowed all of the pills. And then I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I don't really have a problem dying, but I really do have a problem if something happens to me, like if I end up becoming physically disabled. So, being bulimic, I kind of got rid of what I had swallowed. And then they took me I told my mom what I'd done. She took me to the hospital. And the nurse there was not at all sympathetic. She basically said, we're here to help people who want to live. We don't want to help people who have no interest in life. And that was a real hard blow as well. And I realized somehow I've got to find a solution that I can keep the weight off and regain and reclaim my health. And I was very fortunate that I was introduced to a naturopath, and he set me on a course to be able to do exactly that, keep the weight off, eat healthy, and be able to reclaim my health. And that started my journey of being absolutely passionate about the food and the way that nutrition can help to heal your body. And I started researching from the sort of later teen years all the way through even now about nutrition, about supplementation, natural resources, natural ways to heal your body. And that has been a major part of my life. Well, I'm going to fast forward now to my mid-40s, which is when I went into menopause. I was actually 43, so before my mid-40s. And I was newly married, and I'd been married for about 3 years. I had a husband who absolutely adored me. And when I went into menopause, it was literally like someone turned off the light switch. Like everything changed. My sleep was impacted. My moods were terrible. It was so bad I couldn't even be around myself. I used to scream and shout at my poor husband. I remember even throwing his clothes down the stairs and telling him to get out of my life for nothing, for just being angry at something that had sparked me or that I had taken the wrong way. And he had the patience of Job. He was just amazing. But what really started impacting our relationship was that as I started going through the lack of libido, the lack of desire for intimacy, that started impacting our relationship. And he tried everything, absolutely everything, nutritionally, whatever he could find. He was a researcher, that was his profession. And he tried absolutely everything to try to help me naturally to be able to reclaim and restore my libido. And there were certain things that worked and certain things that didn't work. But we never found a real solution then. And then, sadly, our relationship did fall apart, but I am happy to say that I did keep researching that and was able to find things that helped me to go through the hot flashes, the libido, the sleep issues, the hair loss, oh my gosh, just so many different aspects. The thyroid, they diagnosed me with a low thyroid and all these different things. And then I ended up discovering hypnotherapy. And I trained as a hypnotherapist because when I started researching and following my teacher, whose name is Marissa Peer, and listening to what she offered. I had trained in hypnosis probably about 7 years before I actually trained in the specific RTT. And I did not feel overly comfortable in the technique that they offered. And so I never really applied it. And then when I found Marissa, I researched her for about a year, and I was like, that feels such a connected type of modality that I can do that. And that felt really empowering for me. And so I ended up studying with Marissa, and so much that I learned about myself, about different things from my childhood, about the conversations that I had that limited me. And I can see in a few years of having been in the world of hypnosis, the difference that in who I am. I am no longer anything like the woman that walked into her hypnosis class 2 years ago. Nothing at all related to that, because I have grown and I have changed so much, because hypnosis gets you to the root of your subconscious conversations, the disempowering beliefs, and then it helps you to overcome, because when we do hypnosis with people, we actually change those limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs. So they help you to be able to start living a different life, being a different you. And that was the most incredible expression of who I am, because I have become a different person. And every time I receive hypnosis, and I do this on a pretty regular basis, where I exchange with someone once a month, and every time I receive hypnosis, I see a change. And because of what I've uncovered, I'm able to look at patterns, I'm able to look at the habits, I'm able to look at my behaviors, and I'm able to see, oh, that relates to this experience, and I don't need that in my life anymore. So you are able to actually take the experience from what you uncover with hypnosis and be able to change that and transform your life in a very powerful way. So I want to ask, do we have any questions at this point in time?
Why don't you go straight into some of the tips and what people should be doing? You're at 11:13.
Okay, absolutely. I'm just going to take a sip of water. So, things that I've personally discovered that have made a real difference for me is, at the bottom of everything is obviously the hypnotherapy. That has been profound, and it has been significant and major for me. The second thing that I found was really the most important, one of the most important things, the second thing that I found was changing my diet. Now, it didn't happen instantly. It happened over a period of time. So I became vegetarian. I later on decided that I actually wanted to give up eggs, because eggs they use in the medical practices, in the gosh, I can't get the word here, when they are actually researching, they take eggs and they put viruses in eggs to grow and to be able to determine what the outcome is of that particular virus. So eggs can have a very viral promoting experience in our bodies. So I decided to cut out eggs. I went dairy-free, but I ended up switching from cow to goat's milk. And the main reason I didn't go with plant-based milks was because they have a lot of additives, guar gums and different thickeners and things like that. So I prefer to at least have a healthier version of milk in my diet. I just never really successfully eliminated milk, but I use it in my herbal teas and things like that. I tried to remove as many inflammatory foods from my diet, foods like corn, gluten, soy, anything that was GMO, sugar, colorings, dyes, preservatives. And my main way that I eat is a lot of fruits and vegetables. And if I use any oils, it's very limited, and I use healthy oils like a really good quality olive oil or coconut oil. I try where I can to do organic. I live in a small town. It's not always possible, but if I buy fruits and vegetables and things like that, I always just soak them for about 40 minutes or so in some baking soda, in apple cider vinegar, and grapeseed oil. I also added supplements, and I found supplements have really benefited me as far as helping my body to heal and helping me through menopause, as I mentioned. I do exercises as well. I was never really big into exercise as a child, other than maybe swimming in our pool in the summer. But what I started doing as I was getting older was to start doing some yoga and gentle stretch, which I really love. And then I started walking, and I started challenging myself to go further and further and further with my walking. And now I try to do at least 10,000 steps when I walk. And then obviously when the weather's nice, I go out and I do some swimming and things like that. It's really important to get outside, get vitamin D on your body, get some sunshine on your face. And one of the things that I have used for years has actually been a supplement that is an aloe vera powder. It's a stabilized aloe vera. I do not buy anything aloe vera in the stores because it has no nutritional benefit, because aloe vera 24 hours to 48 hours after being picked off the plant is absolutely useless, because the enzymes in the aloe plant actually eat up the essential nutrients, which is the basic called mannose. So I buy from a grower, wholesaler, distributor, the actual aloe vera powder that is stabilized, and that has been one of the best immune support products ever. And I will tell you, I went to Florida a number of years ago with a friend of mine. I was in the sun for probably about 3 or 4 hours at the same time as him. I never used any sunscreen. He used a 75, what's it, a SP or whatever, I don't even know the coding that they use, I guess sun protection factor. I had a tiny little bit of red on my thighs. He was burned to a crisp. And that I attribute 100% to aloe vera. And I take fresh aloe vera off a plant and I rub it onto my face, and I attribute my quality of my skin to the aloe vera as well, the internal as well as the topical, because it is such a healing plant.
So, you know what, Rod? I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
I use the aloe vera plant, that big long thing, and I spit it out. So, I mean, I find that really works when I do it well. So, do you use that when you put it on your skin?
Yes, absolutely. But what I do is I always just break off a little tip and put it straight on, because if you take the whole plant, unless you're going to use all that gel immediately, you're not going to have any active ingredient after 24 hours, 48 hours. So, but yes, I actually take a little tip off and I just put it on my skin, and I can almost feel like a little tingling itchiness. And that to me feels like it's actually penetrating and revitalizing my skin. And I think it's just wonderful. And it's a great sunscreen. So if you're concerned about going out in the sun's rays, as long as you're not going in the water where it's going to wash off, put some aloe vera on your skin. It is so protective. Anyone else have any questions about it?
You know what? I have one more question.
Yes.
The menopause mindset of men. I'm not going to really go into it. I just heard a bunch of guys one time I was on the train, and they were really negative about it. And their whole point was, it was so nice to have a woman that was ministrating. And that's where I caught the conversation in the beginning, and then it digressed from there. But what are your thoughts about that?
I think it's really important for whatever the woman is doing to be able to really communicate with her husband and to have a very open space of communication, because so often a man will reach to be intimate with a woman's just not feeling it because of hormones and whatever's going on in her body, and she'll just say, no, not tonight. And to be able to say, that makes the partner feel like they are being rejected. And for a woman to be able to say to her husband, I'm dealing with this issue and I don't really know how to respond because my body's feeling this. And sometimes, sometimes just trying to be intimate with your husband, like, when you kiss a person, the reason we kiss is because it relaxes us. It actually provides moisture in our mouth, and it also allows our bodies to start becoming more lubricated. So very often, if you are with a partner, rather than just outright rejecting that partner, if you attempt to be intimate and then let them know as you progress through your lovemaking what is going on for you, how you are feeling. If you're not feeling comfortable about actually having penetration, you don't feel comfortable, there's other ways that you can pleasure each other. But don't reject your partner outright, because your partner is going to feel abandoned, pushed away, and they're going to feel like they don't matter, that they're not significant. And very often that can go back to their childhood issues. So I say to my clients, it would be so beneficial if you have hypnotherapy and understand what your core issues are, and then your husband has hypnotherapy so he understands what his core issues are, and then you are able to communicate as adults instead of as little children who've been hurt. So that can make a real big difference in a relationship. Did that answer your question, Wilda?
Yes. And then I have one more. Okay,
Yes.
so hormonal. My favorites are Damien and maca root. So what are you using, and what are you suggesting anything to your clients?
I do. I actually use a homeopathic range, and there are little vials that you just, I do it first thing in the morning and last thing at night, and I just spray under my tongue, and they have been amazing. And what I have actually noticed, so a number.
What are you talking about? A homeopathic range? What is that?
Well, they have different products in their range, and I use a libido product, I use an estroprogest product, and I use one that is called HGH, which is to help your body to support its human growth hormone. And then I've also recently used a metal detox as well as a lung support. I had COVID a few weeks ago, quite a few weeks ago, and to support my lungs, and I use the lung one for my cat that has asthma, and it's also been pretty cool for him too. But it's really helped my lungs so that I didn't end up with bronchial issues when I went through the whole COVID thing. And the nutrition helped me amazingly there as well. So I was able to heal myself from home and take the necessary supplements and nutrition. And I did get a little medical intervention, but very little compared with what most people would have to deal with as far as COVID is concerned. So, that was really huge for me, being able to test with such a challenging condition that so many people are dealing with, how my nutritional regimen actually worked for me. But yes, I do share with people about these products, how they can access them, and I provide them with a contact name, and I'd be more than happy to give you the information, and you can put it into links if you'd like to. When you put this recording up on the website, Wilda, I'd be more than happy to tell you about the homeopathic products. They have quite a large range, and the lady that I work with there is Lisa, and she is absolutely amazing. And, going through menopause, there were different products that I tried, different products that I utilized. But one of the main things that I found for myself was actually changing my diet and getting rid of some of those inflammatory products, getting rid of the eggs. And then I started also doing celery juice first thing in the morning, freshly squeezed on an empty stomach. This is a protocol put out by the medical medium. His name's Anthony William. And I share this with people who are interested when I do my coaching program.
Of him.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I have difficulty watching him because he's like a little all over the place for me. Yeah, he's very, he's got almost like a childlike, but like a bouncy all over the place. But his work in his books, and I listen to the audiobooks. I'm not an avid reader, but audiobooks do it great for me. And I love them, and I have all of his books because he's got some great cleansers in there. He's got great recipes and things like that. And I use them as a resource, and they're wonderful from that point of view. But I have made changes with some of the supplements that I use, using certain ones that he recommends. And I have healed my thyroid through his program. And in healing my thyroid, it really helped to heal a lot of my menopause symptoms that I was dealing with as well. So that has been huge. I really did find, for me personally, that black cohosh was really helpful for the hot flashes. And I did, for a time, use Dong Quai as well. I'm not really sure how much benefit I had from the Dong Quai, but I found the black cohosh was helpful. You mentioned maca root. I used it. I can't say I had a really great benefit, but I was doing so many different things. But I think that the black cohosh was probably one of the best for me. And I say to people, experiment, because what works in my body doesn't necessarily work exactly in yours. I might recommend something, and it might not be exactly what your body needs. We're all different. So you've got to experiment, you've got to play, you've got to see what's going to work for you. I also had some terrible migraines going through menopause, also complicated through car accidents and injuries. I found massage was really helpful. I did get some acupuncture and cupping, different things like that. I'm going to just move on then, unless we have any other questions. Yes, Stephen.
Yes, I had wondered when there's some of the hypnotherapy that you would use, what other parts of a person's life might start changing?
Well, here's the thing. Hypnosis can really be used for pretty much anything and everything that a person is dealing with or struggling with. I mean, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it is wanting to improve their business skills, and whether it's weight loss, whether it's stopping smoking. I mean, the list is pretty much endless, and I don't know if you can actually see this, but here's my business card, and it actually tells you these are some of the things that hypnosis is good for. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that clearly or not.
Yes, a little bit further back. Stop right there. Thank you.
So,
very good.
Excellent. So you're welcome if you want to just catch a screenshot just to get a sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, and I'm also, just as a little marketing thing, going to put this card here, and there's my information if you want to screenshot and you've got a way that you can reach me. And
Roz,
yes,
say how people can reach you, your website, your phone. Or
I don't
whatever.
actually have a website. I'm not an overly techie person.
Right.
So, but
How can they see you? How can they connect with you?
my email address is body balancing, that's BODYBALANCING, and then biz, BIZ. So bodybalancingbiz at gmail.com. And thank you for putting that in the chat, Stephen.
I'm going to ask you another question. So
Please.
How are you? I know we're talking more about over 50, say.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of women now that are in their 30s that are becoming menopausal early. You become menopausal as soon as they take your uterus. So what are your suggestions about that? Because I know that crowd, when I talk to them, they're like totally just, in shock of everything.
Well, firstly, I'm going to say we are not born with spare parts. I do not believe in removing body parts if there is a way to save them. And I think too often our medical professionals are looking at whipping out your gallbladder, your spleen, even as a kid, tonsils, adenoids, etc., whatever it might be, it's kind of progressed from my generation, which was mainly tonsils, adenoids, and then kind of appendix later on, and it's just become this progression of let's take this out, let's take that out. So if you ever get a diagnosis and it's not like a really severe situation and there's a possibility, look at what you can change in your diet, get rid of inflammatory foods, get onto juicing your celery juice, get onto eating fresh fruits and vegetables, and change your diet, because that is 99% of the reason that most of us have issues. Yes, there are poisons in our water, there's poisons in our air. We have to start drinking healthier water where we can and filtering it and getting better quality water. Our air we can't do a whole lot about. I personally say stop masking up, because you're breathing in carbon dioxide, which is harming your blood, it's harming your oxygen levels. So unless you absolutely have to, minimize masking and do what you can nutritionally. And Stephen, you did ask me a question which I didn't finish answering for you. You asked me about an example of something other than the hypnotherapy working for menopause. So one of my